Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a couple of weeks since you last saw me because I have been reading 3 books, so I have had a lot to get through for this review. But also I've been working very, very hard. It's been busy couple of weeks for me in work, and I've now finished for my holiday. I've got 2 weeks off. This is only the second time in 17 years of doing, well, nearly 17 years, it'll be 17 years in January, I mean, doing my job, that I have had the opportunity to take 2 weeks off together. And that's because basically it just situations come up that because of other people's leave and everything, I kind of had to slot around other people, and it's just not been appropriate. And also it does give you the flexibility that you're able to take another week off later on in the calendar year and everything. So but I was like, screw it, I don't care, I want to have 2 weeks off. So I've got 2 weeks off, and I am off to York tomorrow. I'm very, very excited for that. It'll be really, really lovely to be back in York. And oh god, I just love that place so much. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. I don't know what my hair is doing at the moment. It's deciding to go on strike for me right as I'm about to film. So if I play constantly with my hair, I am sorry. It's just it's annoying me today. But yeah, also Taylor Swift has released her new album, It Is My Obsession. Cancelled. Oh God, I love that song so much. And my CD arrived yesterday, which I absolutely love, and I've just ripped it and put it on my memory card. So I've got it with me for when I go to York tomorrow. I'm going to be obsessively listening to that on the train. The album's only 41 minutes long. My train is 3.5 hours. I'm going to know the entire album off by heart by then. I mean, I do know a good fair amount of the album already, but lyrics of it, but not the whole thing. So that is going to be my challenge. Can I get from my home to York and know the entire album off by heart by then? Let's see. Anyway, enough about all that. I'm here to talk about 3 books that I have been reading over the past couple of weeks, which is the Tilly Trotter Trilogy by Catherine Cookson. The titles I thought was like, okay, that's really spoilery, but at the same time, they're really not. So we've got Tilly Trotter, Tilly Trotter Wed, and Tilly Trotter Widowed. So yeah, they kind of are, but they're kind of not at the same time. So just so you're aware, my history with Tilly Trotter, I only knew the first book from watching the drama a couple of years back. I loved the drama. It was like, I think it was number 2. I can't remember if it was 2 or 1. I was like, oh my god, I adore Dinner for Herbs, but oh my god, I adore Tilly Trotter. So yeah, it was around 1 or 2 mark. I can't remember my specific ranking off the top of my head right now. But yeah, it was. I loved it. Loved it. Still love it. Okay. And so I didn't realize it was a trilogy until I got the books, and I was like, okay, right, why didn't they do the second and the third one as a drama? Why is that? Because they did the Malin trilogy, surely they could do the Tilly Trotter trilogy. And then I read the books and I was like, yeah, I get it now. I get it. So what is Tilly Trotter about? So Tilly Trotter, or Matilda Trotter is her official name, but she goes by Tilly. She lives in the north of England, and the first book begins at the early reign of Queen Victoria, so Victorian period, okay? And we follow her from when she's about 17 until when she is like in her 40s going into 50s. Okay, so we're with her for a significant chunk of time in her life. And Tilly Trotter, as I said, the first book begins when she's about 17 and she lives with her grandparents. A situation with her mother happened, which meant that her mother could no longer look after her. So she went to live with her grandparents. She lives a comfortable life, you know. They're poor, but it's full of love and everything in the house, in the household. And then she attends a wedding and something happens. I'm not going to say what because of spoilers, obviously. But from that moment on, she is basically like branded a witch. I'm not going to go into the depths of that, but she basically is. The grandparents get caught up in this thing and she goes through absolute turmoil. And in the process, she meets a man called Mark, who he's of higher status, and Tilly's house is actually on his estate. He stops her being basically kind of killed for this whole witchcraft thing that everyone is going on about, that she's a witch, she has to burn, da 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 da. He stops all that shit from happening and goes, what the fuck, that's ridiculous, and offers her a job because she lives technically on his estate. Her home, the land, is protected by his borders. They cannot come near her. And so she is under this man's protection. He says, look, I've got 4 kids, I need a nanny, do you want to come and look after them? I can give you a wage, you'll be protected by me and the borders of this land, will you come with me? And she accepts the job, and it's all about their relationship going forward and everything. And I, love it. And then I picked up the second book, and I'm like, oh, the second book has got a lot to it. And there were times, I love Tilly. I love Tilly's strength, her courage. Like, Catherine has written some really frigging strong women throughout the course of her books that I have read. To clarify, just to emphasize, I have read, because, she wrote over 100 books. So there's a significant amount of books that I haven't read yet. But thinking about the dramas as well, because I think I've read nearly every one of the dramas now. Because I watched the dramas first, and that's what led me down the Catherine Cookson rabbit hole. I think I've read all of them now, or if not, most of them. So yeah, Tilly always stood out for me in the drama as, my God, this strength of this woman is insane. And yes, the strength of Tilly throughout these books are insane. But even just like in the midst of the second book, I'm like, oh my God, can you not give this woman a break? Can't you just let her breathe for 5 minutes? No, can't do that. And the darkness of the violence in this trilogy, I think it's the darkest of violence from the books of Catherine that I have read previously. Now, granted, Catherine has done, murders and rape and all stuff like that. She's gone there. But when we are talking about massacres, murder-suicides, I will feel in the second book, she goes to America, and so she's in the Wild West. So you can imagine the brutality, the death, the injuries, oh my God. And at one point, I will say this because some people might be quite taken aback by it, like I was when I read it. We've even got scalping happening and such, and there is some brutal stuff. We even see children being massacred and limbs being torn off, and it's like, oh my God, what? oh, that was a lot to get through. And then it's like, right, that's into book 2. Let's go into book 3. And I'm like, oh my God, like what? I am not surprised that at the beginning of the 3rd book, Tilly is 35 and Catherine writes that with everything that she's gone through so far in her life, all of her hair is white. I'm like, I'm not freaking surprised. Like, with all the stress and the anxiety and everything that this woman has had to go through and endure. And then she comes, back from America and there's a whole nother level of shit that's coming her way. And I'm like, give this woman a break. Just let her breathe for 5 fucking minutes. Oh my God. I mean, I have sat and I've wondered, did Tilly Trotter need a sequel? And to be honest, I'm going to say no. And I'm not criticizing Catherine for writing it. It just feels like Tilly Trotter, that first book is its own thing, its own bubble. And that's why I get why the drama only reflects the first book. Because there is some complicated shit that comes about in the second book, especially. And then the impact of that ricochets and ripples all through the layers of her life when she returns back to England in the 3rd book. I'm like, oh my God. Just, I mean, Catherine, bless you for writing this trilogy. Bless you for keeping the reader on their toes. Like, there is no let up for the reader in this book, in this trilogy of books, sorry. But I was because I kept thinking, oh my God, I need a break. Sometimes there is the thing of too much. And I feel like this trilogy, especially the 2nd book, was too much. But what Catherine wrote was great. I can't put Catherine down for the way she wrote it, her brutal honesty, the genuine stuff that people of that time in the Wild West of America went through. It very much made me think of 1883, because I got into Yellowstone. I can't remember if it was late last year or right at the beginning of this year. This year is just like, feels like it's been 7 because of everything that's gone on in the world. I can't remember, but I got into Yellowstone. I watched all of that. I watched 1883 and I watched the first series of 1923. I need to watch the second series, but that's by the by. It very much made me think of 1883 and the brutality in that, because it is genuinely what people experience. So I loved the fact that I had that connection in my head. It shows the quality of what Catherine wrote and the truth of the matter compared to something from now that is telling the brutality and truth of the matter. So totally love and respect her for writing what she wrote. Yeah, it just felt like it was just a bit too much sometimes. I did love the character development of most of the characters. And I say most because with her going away to America for quite some time and then coming back again, there are, chunks of life, and some parts of the books have got a significant gap. So for example, Tilly Trotter covers a set period of time, like a few years and such, and then the gap between the end of the first book and the first sentence of the second book is 12 years. So it's like, oh, right, okay. And then during the course of the 3rd book, we have a character who was only about, I think he's yeah, he's about 4 when Tilly comes back to England, and there's a 14-year kind of span of the final book. So yeah, it's there's a lot going on throughout the course of the trilogy, and there are those jumps. And when going back to the point about character development, because you have those big gaps and everything, it just all of a sudden characters just would say and do things. I'm like, where the frick did that come from? You weren't like that, like earlier on in this book or in the last book when I saw you. All of a sudden now, like, you think Tilly is the most evil bitch in existence. You loved her at the end of the previous book. Why? Where did that come from? It was quite startling. It was like, oh, okay, right. So yeah, sometimes it just made me feel a bit uneasy, and because there were characters who they're more like secondary characters, but they're still important to Tilly, who I really, really loved. And then because they're secondary characters, they kind of obviously pop up when needed. And then when we came back to them, I was like, I'm really I want to sit with you for a while. I want to know more about what's happened to you over this time period. And Catherine's gone, no, 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 they'll pop up when needed, and that kind of frustrated me a little. So yeah, though we do have great character development, we only see really that character development for our main group, and I wanted to see it for kind of reflected on for everyone. But yeah, Catherine doesn't have time for that because she has so much drama going on for Tilly that, yeah, Tilly's got completely white hair by the time she's 35, and I'm not frigging surprised. Just, ooh, bit much. But overall, although it is relentless and harsh and brutal and just, oh my God, just sometimes just utterly heartbreaking, it's one hell of a story. Can't deny that. Can't deny that. I will say, I think that if I were to go through the trilogy again, I might take breaks between books, and that's not a thing of me going, this is just, I couldn't possibly sit and read them back to back. I have sat and I've read them back to back. The thing is that because I know the brutality and everything of what is coming up, I'm like, I just need to have a little bit of a breather between the books. It's a lot going on, and I'd rather just have that nicer pace that I dictate as to when I, finish one book and go into another. Maybe have like a week gap or something, just so that or even just a few days, just to have that bit of breathing space before going deep down into the depths and darkness of the next book, the next element. I think that's what I would need, but I would certainly read them again. It's just, yeah, I think this trilogy, see, I thought the Malin trilogy when I watched like the dramas and everything were the darkest, and interestingly enough, I really don't like the Malin trilogy dramas because they're just such poor quality made, but they're of their time in the 70s. But I friggin' adore the books. I think the books are brilliant. And yeah, I've come to this trilogy and I'm like, this trilogy, Catherine doesn't hold back. I think this is the most brutal trilogy of hers that I have read so far. It's just, there is a lot going on here, a lot. Now, the remaining books of hers I have left to read, I think it's 3 single books and 1 omnibus. It's called like the I think it's the Mary Ann omnibus. I may have that wrong. Please don't quote me on that. But if I have got that right, hey, I'm glad I remembered. That one is like 8 stories, but it's 8 stories of one character that has been brought together into one book. So, yeah, they were like individual stories and they've just been brought together. That's why it's called the omnibus. So, yeah, I don't know if I should regard that as 8 books or one book. Technically I've got them as one book combined, so I suppose it would be one. That it would be interesting to see, because that's the last one where we have multiple books or elements relating to a character that I have to read out of my collection. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see about the brutality in that one. But yeah, these were written, hang on, let me just check, I think it was 80 to 82, wasn't it, because they were consecutive years. Yeah, 1980 to 1982, the trilogy was. And yeah, by that point, yeah, she'd been through, you know, significant stuff in her life. And maybe it was just that thing with reflecting and such that she decided it was time to go a bit darker. I don't know. There's a lot of complexity with Catherine's life and things that she went through and things that she experienced. That she does have really kind of like dark elements in her books, but this felt like on a different level. But yeah, maybe she just went, I'm going to go there. I've never really gone there before, but I'm going to go there and see what people think of it. And people clearly responded to it because, you know, it's still around. So yeah, it was dark. It was a lot to take. It was brutal, but my God, Tilly came out on top. She really did. But the way that the trilogy ends, obviously I'm not going to spoil, but her ending, I'm glad that she has the ending that she has. But at the same time, I kind of felt like, but did she have to go to the Wild West for that ending? I really feel like the second book, I get why the second book is, what it covers, where it goes, etc. I get it. But at the same time, I just think, like, was it necessary? And that's the big question. And yeah. But then I get why, yeah, she needed to have Tilly go away and come back because of the shift that happens, what her coming back means. I just kind of, yeah, I just wonder, could it have been that they just go, Tilly went away, and then do a time jump of her then coming back, and we figure out what happened to her through things that Catherine says, if that would have been a better option. I don't know the answer to that question. But yeah, Catherine chose no, she's going to show the good, the bad, the ugly that Tilly went through. And she went there. She went to some really dark places. And yeah, I respect her for doing it. But yeah, if you're intending to read these books, be aware there is some brutal stuff that happens, especially in the second book. Okay. So, yeah. And I can't remember if I said this, so if I'm repeating myself, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I do like the fact that Catherine, she made me go, Tilly, why are you doing this? Why? Because I got really frustrated with Tilly at times, especially in the second book. Like, what are you thinking? Why are you doing this? This isn't you. This isn't the Tilly that I know and love. What the fuck are you doing? And I think it's that thing that Catherine is showing, that no matter how old you get, you need to falter, make mistakes, have things go wrong in order to learn and grow from it. Tilly's always been strong, but she's never really properly stumbled until the second book happens. And it's like, you made your bed, Tilly, you have to lie in it. And so, yeah, I kind of, maybe that's why, maybe that does answer the question that I had before as to why Catherine had us follow her and show the brutal shit that she goes through. Maybe it is just that thing of we needed to see Tilly falter and have shit go wrong in order to understand the strength of the woman coming back to England and what that would mean. So yeah, maybe that is why. But yes, Tilly really did frustrate me at times, but I'm glad she got the ending that she did. So bless her, she went through more shit than anyone ever should have to endure. And she came out on the other side. And I love Catherine for giving her that. So that happy ending. I mean, sorry, not that load of shit that she went through. But yeah, she's a strong-ass woman, is Tilly Trotter. I think she's the strongest woman that Catherine ever wrote. But my God, Catherine gave us some crazy stuff to deal with. That was just a bit... but yeah, bless her, Tilly Trotter. And as mentioned, you know, the drama, I absolutely love the drama. I still love the drama, having read the books. If you're able to watch it, check it out. I'll if I can find a trailer or a copy of it here on YouTube, I'll include it in the description, just as I have with my other Catherine Cookson stuff. And if not, you'll see a note from me going, I couldn't find it. But yeah, it'll be in the description if it's available. So those are my thoughts on the Tilly Trotter Trilogy by Catherine Cookson. Time to ask my usual questions. Would I read this again? Yes, I would. But as mentioned, I think I would pace myself between books just to give me a bit of breathing space from all of the stuff that happened. But yeah, it's not a case of I will only read the first book situation, because that's what I know and love and are comfortable with, having watched the drama. No, I would read the whole trilogy. I would just, I think, pace myself a little bit between books. Would I recommend these to anyone? Yes, if someone is wanting to read Catherine Cookson Trilogy, I'd say go for it, but be aware that this is probably the heaviest, darkest trilogy of hers that I have read. I haven't read every single trilogy that she ever wrote, but certainly that I have read, this is the darkest, and there is some really dark shit in these books. So just something to be aware of. Would I read any more of Catherine's work? Well, yes, of course. Hello. Like I said, I think I've still got like 4 books of hers in my collection to read. And then I'm out of Catherine Cookson books. That's insane. Or at least the 30 odd that I own. So yeah, I might have to look into trying to track down some more in like charity bookshops and such, because it is ridiculous that you can't get access to like all of her books. Her publishers only publish certain ones of her books now. There's so many of her books that you cannot get, which is just terrible. But yeah, definitely read more of Catherine's works. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on the Tilly Trotter Trilogy. Have you read this trilogy? I'd love to know what you think. Leave me comments in the comments box below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely to get decide. And I'll be back with my thoughts on my next read, which will be after I get back from York, and that is Date with the Executioner by Edward Marston. So this was one of my Shop by Mum advent calendar books from a couple of years ago. I've never read any of Edward's work before, and this is because he does a series called The Railway Detective, and this is like the first book of another set of books, but I think they're kind of like linked or something, for what I can remember from when I opened this and I was googling. So as in like a character that pops up in one of the railway detective books is a key character in this first book of this trilogy, if you see what I mean. So it is like completely separate, but there is that connection there. So yeah, or at least that's what I understand. But we'll find out. We will find out. So I'll be back with my thoughts on Date with the Executioner when I am done. And yeah, I will see you when I see you. With these 2 weeks off, I've got kind of low flexibility and such, but I'm planning to be back by next Sunday to give you the review of that, and then I'll be announcing my next 5 reads. Exciting. All right then, everyone. Bye.